Good evening. Would you turn in your hymnal to 87 and let's sing the first verse of Angels from the Realms of Glory. Angels from the realms of glory, wing your light o'er all the earth. He who sang creation's story, now proclaim Messiah's birth. Come and worship, come and worship, worship Christ the newborn King. And let's sing the last verse. Saints before the altar bending, watching long in hope and fear. Suddenly the Lord descending in his temple shall appear. Come and worship, come and worship, worship Christ the newborn King.
Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the reading of it. We thank you for just the time of the season that we can just have fellowship with one another. Thank you, Lord, for the many blessings that you have given us. We just pray, Lord, that through the services you can open our hearts to what we are a part of and participating in Shoebox Christmas, and just help us to see how much we can do through one little box and sharing your word around the world. Just guide us and direct us. You didn't tell me it was off.
Okay. Is that better now? Okay. For the announcements, we have several Christmas parties this week. We have Team Kid will be having their Christmas party on Wednesday evening. The students will be having their Christmas party, which is a mystery event, on Friday. And then on Friday night at the same time, the children will be going Christmas caroling and having hot dogs over at the Cab, right? So if you have children, grandchildren, college students, any of those that are interested or want to participate, have them here and they can join in. You can see in the bulletin the announcements for this week. The choir will have a special rehearsal next Saturday in preparation for the Sunday morning special. So we want to encourage each other, to those that are in the choir, to be able to participate in that and just ask God's blessings on them as they prepare for Sunday morning. Tonight after the service, we have hot tea, hot chocolate, hot coffee, no cold drinks, and cookies over in the fellowship hall. So come join us for our time of fellowship, and if you have more questions for these three ladies that are sharing today, then you can get more information from them about the Shoebox Christmas. Funeral arrangements for Miss Elsie Tanner. The service will be at 11 a.m. Wednesday here at the church. Visitation will be from 9 to 11 Wednesday morning. And then burial will be at Memorial Park. And there will be a meal served here after the burial. They will have the service and then go for the burial and then come back. So those of you that can help with the food and preparations for that, I think some of you have already been working on that and arrangements for that. So those are the arrangements at this time. We're glad that you're here tonight and hope that we learned something new tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Here's, that one's Tracy's. Okay, welcome tonight. We are glad that you're here. First off, I need 4 volunteers. I see all those hands. If I don't see one, I'm on a point. Miss Cheyenne, Susan, Kim Kathy. We need a guy up here. Douglas Self. Okay. Come on, Doug. Don't be shy. I'll be explaining while he slowly makes his way up here. On the table, we have 4 shoe boxes or boxes. On this table over here, we have all kinds of goodies that can go in the Christmas child shoe boxes. Now, you will be doing a girl's box, a guy's box, a girl's box, and a guy's box. When I say go, you choose your box and start gathering the items. You can go back and forth the table. It's not just a one trip. And you can use that as your packing table, or you can stand here and do it whatever. Do you have any questions? Y'all got your box? Get your box, Doug. Are y'all ready? 1, 2, 3, go. We'll see how they do in choosing items, how they do in placing the items in the box, because as we unpacked boxes this week, we realized that is very important. Don't take anything out of anybody else's box. Some of those have packing experience, I can tell. And when you think you have it filled to capacity or to satisfaction, you can bring it over to the table. Doug is finding out the harder you mash them in, the more you can get in there. Y'all keep on. Just because he's first doesn't mean he's won. That reminds me, I didn't turn my phone off.
Good job.
2 more. Okay, y'all come stand behind your boxes. Doug, you were first. If you would open your box and take out an item, let's see what you have. Okay, he has bowls. These are excellent because they don't often have things to eat out of, things to store anything in. So these little bowls, and then you can, we didn't take the time, you can pack stuff in them. Next item. What do y'all think? Well, we've been told, there's some debate on this, no war items. But on this one, we were taking these kind of things out and they were bringing them back to us to put in. They just said no war type camo clothing. So this is debatable. Next. Okay, a Jesus Loves Me book. That's good. A comb. Okay. Oh. A puzzle. Soap, that is excellent. Another comb. Scissors are fine. Harmonica is fine. Note paper is excellent. Carabiner is good. A baseball is good. Play-Doh is fine. Somebody got rid of their gun, or is that his gun? And these little wash rag towels, these are the little compact. Very good, Doug. I think pretty much yours was right except for the question on the gun. Okay, Cheyenne? Let's see what you have. Sewing kit, excellent for a girl. They can have needles and scissors, okay? What is that? Stuffed animals, that's fine. Looks like part of the nativity scene. Jewelry is fine. The little plastic bubble things you blow out of the can is fine. Beep, 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 beep. Bubbles are liquid. No go. Sorry. Play-Doh is fine. Paints are fine if they're not liquid. Pencils are great. Jump rope. Hair rubber bands. A doll. Hairbrush. That's a comb. Fingernail polish. Fingernail polish is liquid. No go. And bracelets. Pretty good. And soap. Cheyenne did good. Okay, Miss Susan, what have you got? Paints are fine as long as they're not liquid. A motorcycle, bugs, yo-yo, comb, book, towel, pencils. Can't have that, hand sanitizer, whatever. Can't have the bubbles, little dinosaurs, animals, puzzle, soap. Play-Doh is fine, balls are fine, marbles, scissors, and a notebook. That's good. I think just 1, 2 items there. Okay, Miss Kim, let's see what you've got. Notebook. Silly string. Anything aerosol, no go. Lotion. Anything liquid lotion. Pencils are fine. A doll. No bubbles. No paints because those are liquid paints. We set y'all up. Soap. Scissors are fine.
I was going to put those and she said we could. So.
Scissors are fine.
Yeah.
A necklace. Play-Doh. Jump rope. Comb. Little stuffed animal things. Wet wipes can go. Moist towels, wet wipes can go. Those little plastic bubbles that you blow in the tube can go. Comb. A mirror can go as long as it's not glass. And I don't think that one is glass. That's a plastic one. So mirrors can go. Bracelets. And on the lotion. Y'all did pretty good. Let's give them a hand. So, for y'all's effort, y'all can choose. We've got extra t-shirts and we've got Christmas ornaments. I think the t-shirts are an extra large, large, and small, and then Christmas ornaments. So whatever choice y'all can make. These are the shirts that they gave us for working. And every time you left, you went through the gift room, and so every time you worked, you could get a shirt and an ornament. So this is an extra large, and then these ornaments were there. They're with the, so y'all can just take one. And thank y'all very much. Packing a shoebox isn't easy as you would think it is, and we're going to be showing some of the things on here. What are you looking for? I think all the extra larges are gone. This is a large and that's a large. I have an extra large in my office. Okay. Of course, if you'll know, you know that Tracy and Kathy and I left last Sunday after church and spent the night in Trussville, Alabama, and then went on the next day and met up with First Baptist Church, Dothan, Alabama. I have a friend that I grew up with, Bob Gross, and grew up in First Baptist Tupelo with, and he's a minister of senior adult and missions there. I saw on Facebook where they had a trip, and I called and asked if they took out-of-towners with them. So we got 3 of their 20 spots, and we got in on theirs. We found out that the first day it opened up to register, and I don't know if this was just for the Atlanta Processing Center or all of them, but the first day it opened up in September to register for the Atlanta Processing Center, it filled up. And that's thousands of people. So I'm glad we got in on their nickel, as you say. But we've got some slides we want to show, and we'll all be talking and kind of interspersing in the conversation as it goes, as things come up. But and Kathy, I got you a. Yes, they go for 5 weeks, and it's 6 days a week that they'll be processing there. So here's kind of an overview of what takes place at Samaritan's Purse. Okay. Yes. Okay, the next one. Okay, Samaritan's Purse is a non-denominational Christian organization, and it's been in effect since 1970, so it's been around a while, but and it does so many different things, and there'll be a list up there. But it promotes the gospel throughout the world, and it does it in over 100 countries around the world, so we'll be looking at some things. If y'all want to dim the lights, can we do that a little? I might could see things better. I might not could see my sheet here. Yeah, turn them off on the wall. Okay, that's good. Okay, the next one. Franklin Graham is the president and CEO since 1978. The ministry is headquartered in Boone, North Carolina, but it also has offices in several countries around the world, okay? And there's 2 slides here that are a list of all the ministries that they're involved in. And as you can see, it's a pretty extensive list. It's not just what we hear about, Operation Christmas Child, but there's some things there. Okay, you can go to the next one. But you see, and I think the one that is, to me, the most interesting is down the last, the human trafficking prevention, because that is something that we're becoming more and more familiar with here in the United States. But they do things to help wounded soldiers and their families to get back together and help them out. They help children with heart problems in different countries. There's just so many things that they do, okay? But the one we're going to talk about tonight is Operation Christmas Child and what they do with the shoeboxes next. Okay, the shoebox starts with us as we prepare a shoebox, but they stress evangelism, discipleship, and multiplication, okay? The first step is packing, and as you know, we're involved in that next. As you can see, we had some groups here at the church. This was the cow class on the Sunday that they met and packed after church next. This was the whole group of them there as they met. And then on Wednesday night, our Team Kids next. They met, they filled shoe boxes, and then the next is the whole group of them. And then after you get the boxes filled, you bring them to the church all together, and we had a collection Sunday next. Or, well, what goes in a box. We've kind of talked on some of that tonight. And now y'all pitch in on this. Y'all helped in looking. It says what goes in a box and decide on what to go in it. One of the things that we noticed is a lot of the boxes were very light. They didn't have a lot in them. And as you'll hear, every box is completely gone through. But it says to start with a big item on top that when you open it, it gets the child's attention. And then next one, these are just some of the things that you can include in them. And it's amazing what you can put in a shoebox of even what they call the go boxes, or the ones that they manufacture and use. Y'all have any? Don't use the mic if you talk. Use the mic if you talk. Push it up. Yeah, push it up.
In some of the shoe boxes, we couldn't find soap or wash rags, toothpaste, toothbrushes, but we had fill boxes which we could add in. And some of the little boxes just had just a few little toys, and that's about it. And then some of the boxes were packed so full, we practically had to sit on the top to get them closed.
Okay, you can go to the next and see school supplies, non-liquid hygiene items. Okay, go to the next. T-shirts, things like that, crafts, make your own items. And I believe that's the last slide on that. Now, one thing to not include, and there's going to be a big change next year. Next year, no candy and no toothpaste. A lot of this deals with customs in other countries. One thing, toothpaste has an expiration date. And sometimes it's 6 months or more before these boxes are delivered. And they've run into problems with customs. Of course, they don't open every box. But, you know, and I'm not sure why on the candy, but this was the last year for toothpaste and candy. So from now on, nothing edible. And then no toothpaste. But, you know, anything liquid, no medications, no lotion, shampoo, no vitamins. Somebody put vitamins in them. You know, those are really neat ideas, but they just can't be done. No knives, but you can put scissors. Now, something else that I wasn't aware of, you can put hammers, nails, screws in the older boys' boxes. Some people even used, it doesn't have to be new, they were taking pill boxes or just taking tape and wrapping around the nails and putting hammers and screwdrivers and tape measures and things like that in the boxes because it says it aids in constructions. Those are things that they can use. So that was something unusual, and we did find some of those in some of the boxes. Okay, next. Okay, the next after you pack at the church, then collecting. Okay, next. And we had that. We had our collection Sunday where the children collected them, and then the next is a picture of all of the kids and the boxes that were collected here at our church. The boxes here at our church then go to Fair Park Baptist Church, or every church goes to a collection center in their town. The next slide. And they put all their boxes in the collection center, and then they are taken, you can go to the next slide, to the processing centers. And there are 8 processing centers. They had told us, there's the list of them, they had told us that ours went to Dallas, but we found boxes from Benton, Louisiana, from Homer, and Shreveport and Bossier City area. And we know that because the people put letters and they put information about themselves in it. So these are the processing centers. Okay, next. Okay, when we went to the processing center Atlanta, that's the most organized thing I have ever been to, I think, in my life. When you pull in the parking lot, first day we pulled in, though it was raining, and this man was still out there telling you exactly what to do. Next, we had some boxes. This is the building. The building has been loaned to them. They said that Samaritan's Purse in some of the cities owns the warehouse, but this one someone just is letting them use for this season free of charge, and that's a big deal because this is a very big facility with nice offices up front and then the warehouse room. So this slide and then the next is just another view of it, and you pull in, and if you happen to have boxes, next, They do have a place outside that they're collecting boxes. And it was interesting, the hotel we stayed at had you look behind the counter and there were about 20 to 30 shoeboxes packed sitting and waiting. And they said that there is a group, we're going from the hotel this past Friday to work and process. So it's not just churches that are involved in this, it's all sorts of groups. Next. This is their loading dock, their shipping dock, and I didn't get a picture of where they were collecting the shoe boxes, but this was all what we saw as we drove in. My sister, they had somebody bring boxes to their church after they had already sent them, so we carried some for them and handed them off. Okay, next. When you go in, these people or someone else is sitting outside. You can take in coolers and food and things like that, but they check it. You know, kind of like everything we have nowadays, security and safety is a big issue. So, I mean, they didn't check just purses and everything, but if you go in with big coolers and things like that, then there is a room to keep those in while you're there. Next. Then you go in and see Ramatu. You want to tell about Ramatu? Push it all the way up.
Ramatu is from Ghana. She was very excited about her job. She made us very welcome, and she wanted us to make sure that we told her mom and dad hi from Ramatu because they're watching via our live stream. And so hi, Mom and Dad from Ramatu. She has been working with Operation Christmas Child for a long time, and she is just thrilled. This is a ministry for her. And everybody that was there, that was on the staff, that welcomed us, that trained us, that did everything, it's a ministry for them. It's not just a job. And you walk in and you just feel the love of Christ. You feel the Holy Spirit in that building as you are listening and learning about Operation Christmas Child and Samaritan's Purse, as well as when you are doing the job that you've been assigned in the warehouse to do.
Okay. Then next, you go in, you fill out your consent form and your name tag. Next. You go over to the computer where hopefully they find you in the computer where you have a reservation. You tell them the hours that you'll be working. Every day you go in, you're supposed to check in. They want to know who all is there working. Okay, next. This is Kathy. She was one that helped registered, and it's just, you know, they love doing what they do. They enjoy the people. They enjoy the ministry, and we appreciated their help because, especially for us, it was our first time, so we didn't know what to do. But people like Kathy and Ramontu were very helpful to us. Okay, next. They had all sorts of displays around there, many photo ops. This is all still in the first room that you see, and everywhere were Samaritan's Purse cartons and shoeboxes, and then large pictures of happy children. Next. This was and it doesn't show up very good, this was the processing board. On it are listed all the places that the boxes from Atlanta are going. Switch to the next one. This is a list. All the boxes processed at Atlanta are going to these places. The ones we worked on were for Chad, Cameroon, and Burkina Faso. And it's just amazing what can be done. They only had one more week left this next week, and so the majority had been done of the countries, but it was still interesting knowing where the box goes. Okay, next. You do orientation. They meet you and get you in a group, and then the next one take you back to the orientation room where you see a video from Franklin Graham expressing his thanks and the organization's thanks for your help. And then they have next just things on the wall to help explain to you. Go to the next one. This will show you sort of, hopefully, if you'll look, you're in a line. There's two sides, and each side is doing the same thing. The first box is the pre-inspector. And see, there's a little box in the table with a slit in it. And the person who is the pre-inspector, oh, I guess I'll wait and let y'all tell what they do. But then you go on down. These boxes are filled with filler that you can use. And then the person who inspects the box, the taper, and then the next one, the next slide, is the table that has the cartons, girl 2 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, and then boy on the other side, so you know which box to put in. Okay, next. And these are the labels that go on the ones that if you register your box online and want to track it, there were, I think, 2 or 3 different kind of labels they had, and these were very important. And some churches, it seemed like every person in the church did it, and some, apparently nobody. And that's just as the boxes were coming through in groups. Okay, next. This is the lady there is Deborah. She's the lady that did our orientation, and they show a lot more energy, I think, and enthusiasm than we did, because she kept wanting us to cheer after everything she said. And she had a group, us and 6 or 9 other ladies, and we are real big cheerers. But we did appreciate her. Next. This lady was 94 years old, and she was leaving at the end of her shift. She had been there working. You see all sorts of people there and all sorts of conditions of health. And one group came in all carrying their stools to sit on to work. And, you just appreciate all the help and the people who want to be involved in it. Okay, next. Okay, this is the first thing you see. We're still just walking in. We're newbies. You see the big tree and the display. Next. And then you go to the podium. And that's where they check in the volunteers and tell you what station. They keep track with who is working where. And then you turn and look, and the next slide is what you see. It looks like chaos. You just see people and boxes everywhere. But once you start working, you realize how well organized they have it. Okay, next. This is kind of a station without anybody at it. You work two groups, one on one side and one on the other side. Okay, next. This is kind of a shot of how the boxes are sitting that you do put the shoe boxes in. Put them in the cartons, okay? First off, these boxes have come in from the churches, from the collection sites in the different local areas, sealed up. They haven't been opened. They unload them from the trucks, set them in there constantly. They're just constantly being unloaded. Next. And you have the dogs sniffing them. I never could find out if it was for drugs or bombs. Somebody said, well, maybe both. But, it's the ones that are coming in, not the ones that are going out. So I don't know if there's been a problem or if they're just trying to keep there from being a problem. They said this is the first year this has happened. But I do know, after looking up some things on the internet, there are some countries that aren't happy about Operation Christmas Child. They say that it is trying to convert their children from their country's religion. And, that can cause problems sometimes, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. But the dog was there all day, and every time they would put another stack of boxes, he would come out and make his rounds. I never noticed that he found anything, which I'm thankful for. But, that is part of our society today. Next. The boxes go on a long kind of roller conveyor belt. It's not moving, but it has little rollers. And it starts here and goes way down. There's 15 stations working. And then on the other side of the room, there's 15 more. And the next slide shows from the other end back to the beginning where the boxes start. And just all day long, these guys are putting boxes on this conveyor belt, pushing them down. And then each station can take 4 boxes, and when you finish a box, you just roll another box over, and they shove boxes on down. And that is just going constantly all day. Each box, if completely filled, each carton holds 23 of the go boxes. That will be a perfect box, which we only filled one of those the whole time I was there. And the reason is, a perfect box is the 23 go boxes, but when you do the plastic boxes, the bigger boxes, you can't always get 23 in. And they hope to get 15 in. They try to tell you not to put less than 15, and that's hard to do with some of the boxes. Okay, next. Okay, this is y'all. Kathy? Checking for money.
The money. When you pull the first box over, the first thing you do is take the tops off, and hopefully the money's in the very top. If it's not, you kind of thumb through the box to be sure you don't miss the money. Once we find the money, then we drop it in the little slot there, and then we pass it on to the checkers.
One thing I did want to say, excuse me, is that when you're packing your box, use the rubber bands. We had some that were taped up all the way around this way, and it was really difficult because you had a rhythm going. You grab it out of the box, and the pre-inspector was the one who would cut the tape. And I mean, it took a while to get some of that tape off of there. People didn't realize that the box wasn't going directly to the child, that it had to be opened and inspected. So, that next year, make sure you do rubber bands and not tape on the boxes.
One more thing too was that it slows down when you don't put the label where it says put the label. The majority of people, it seems like, put the label right in the middle. But when it goes all the way down the table and they get wrapped, well, the wrapping goes around the middle, and then you can't tell if it goes to a boy or girl. So we were, as pre-inspectors, we were having to take those off and re-stick them, and that kind of slows the process down too. So we want to be sure that you just follow the instructions.
Okay, next, I think it's Tracy. Tracy had that job as well, opening and taking out. Okay, next. That's the box that all the money went into. Next. Then that's Kathy was also a checker. You want to share what you did there?
Yeah, there we have to open the box after it's passed down, and you check everything in it. And sometimes you have to take everything out and repack it. And then some were packed great. They were just perfect. You just look and see that there was nothing inappropriate in there. But if it were, we had buckets underneath for the inappropriate items, and you would put them there and then go to the filler boxes and replace anything that we had to take out so that the boxes were full.
Okay, next. That's my friend Bob Gross. He found a package of Frosted Flakes in his box. Okay, next. This was, and I want to brag on us just a minute. All the lines had, the idea was to have 7 people working on each side of the table. Well, one day, Dana, who was our coach, that's the person who is in charge of your tables, came to me and she said, "You look like somebody that doesn't like to stand still." And I said, "No, I don't." And because there were so many people at our line, they had put too many people at the table. She said, "Do you think you and 3 other people could do a line?" I said, "If you'll get my 2 ladies, those 2 standing right over there, we can handle a line on our own." And so she took us and put the 3 of us on one side, and then this lady was by herself. She was from Bogachita, Mississippi, and she came over. So the 4 of us ran a line where in the other tables they were having 14 people, and we did pretty good. I will say we did it all, and we did a good job. I want to brag on these 2. They opened and inspected, and also
They loved us.
they loved us. Dana asked us to come to her spot every time we came. But you can see these little bins right here have the filler items in them, and you can use that. Talk about the integrity of the boxes right now.
One of the things that they stressed was the integrity of the box, not how it holds up, but what's in it. And they told us that many stories of the children who got boxes, and some of the boxes, like I had one come through my station that was marked a boy, but yet a lot of the things in there were pink and kind of girly, and I'm like, that's kind of not appropriate. And then when they had talked to us about the integrity of the boxes, I realized that the person who packed that was listening to the Holy Spirit, and he knew exactly who was going to get that box, and that they were going to share some things with the sisters, brothers, people around in the village. And so there was a story they told about a little boy who had who got a box, and he had been praying for his sister. His sister needed a dress, and he wanted her to have a red dress, but she needed a dress. And so when it came time for the boxes to be distributed in the village, he got his box. It was marked boy, and he opened up the box, and there on top of all his boy stuff was a red dress. And so he was very emotional about it, because he had prayed and he said, "My God has supplied for me what I asked." And so the integrity of the box, of what's in there, is what they wanted us to really be cognizant of. But you sometimes you just want to take things out and think, "Oh no, that doesn't need to be in there, and I can put some more stuff in there." But that's what God had planned for that person to have. Now, if there wasn't enough in the box, we added too, but we never took anything out unless it was something that was inappropriate, that wouldn't go through customs or whatever. And one of the neat things about talking about the integrity of the box, is like every hour and a half, every 2 hours, everything stopped. we had a chaplain that climbed up on these big set of stairs over the warehouse, and everything ceased. And he told a story about someone who received a box, but he also we stopped and we touched boxes, and we touched cartons, we touched wherever we were touching, and we were praying for the child who had received that box, and thanking God for the person who sent it, and just that that the box would not have a problem getting through customs, that it would get where it needed to be to the right child. And that's the power of the Holy Spirit, folks. We felt the Spirit there. I mean, he was just moving, and he gave us energy that we didn't have, because the second day we were there all stinking day, y'all. We were there from 9 till just about till 6, and I was exhausted. You stand on that hard concrete floor all day, and you're undoing boxes and hefting them and moving them and digging through them, and you do that for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. You're pretty tired, But we were excited about it, and they had Christmas music going, and they had some of the songs that would repeat, but the one that really got to us, the days of Elijah. Here he comes, riding on the cloud. Boy, if that doesn't get you going and getting your energy going, nothing will. But people would sing, and we would just, shout hallelujah. It was just a phenomenal thing.
Okay, next. They had filler items, and I don't know where they get these. Apparently companies bring them because they have these bins kind of in the middle that are just full of different items. And one of the items that apparently they have thousands of were these little Duck Dynasty mirrors. There's little plastic mirrors that have a beard already on the mirror, so that if you hold yourself and look in it just right, it puts a beard on you. And so we're constantly putting that in our box. But they have filler items, and as people are taking away the items that you don't need, they're bringing filler items to use, and even the items that are taken out, they go through and check again to make sure things weren't taken out that could be sent. So, it is checked and rechecked. Okay, next.
And the inappropriate items that we took out, like the liquid stuff, they go to charities and things in the area, so they don't throw it out at all. It's all used and prayed over, so.
Okay.
No.
Okay, and one of the jobs I did this most of the time, was to tape up the boxes, and this was kind of hard because, when we pack them here at the church, we have time, and we may pack and repack and take it out to try to make it all fit, but there you are working just as fast as you can, and sometimes by the time the box got to me, and it had been through a couple of times to try to keep everything in, but they had that little thing there in this roll of Samaritan's Purse tape that you wrapped around it once or twice, and then the next slide, you put it in the box. And this shows how each box is marked with these. It says boy 2 to 4, boy 5 to 9, boy 10 to 14, and then the same with the girls. You put one of these on the end of each box. Next. Then you write on it, this was a girl box for 10 to 14 at station 3. There's the little barcode, and then you mark it again. Okay, next. Then Kathy was a box packer, and this was our coach, Leslie. Leslie wanted every time we finished packing a carton, she would yell touchdown, and we would yell and scream. But, very high energy. I thought she was in college. She said no, she was a mother of 3 boys. So she knew what high energy was. Kathy, anything on packing?
Yeah, the only thing, it's kind of hard because we had regular shoe boxes, and then we had plastic shoe boxes, then we had big plastic shoe boxes. So you had to be, very careful how we packed them. And that was a very fast process. You were getting boxes just fast as you could put them in there. And it was amazing how fast people work.
Yeah, and like I say, I only saw one perfect box, but it's great, and, it gave me an idea of what kind of box I would like to pack for the kids. The plastic boxes are nice to have for them to keep. Some people had the big boxes. They had big shoe boxes. They had these Christmas hard boxes you can buy, all sorts of boxes, and they don't try to discourage any size box. They don't say, we don't need these or not. I would suggest, and we don't do that, don't wrap the box in paper. We used to do that. By the time you cram in these in the box, the paper gets all torn and ripped. So there's no need to wrap it. You know, there were most of them, if they were shoeboxes, they were just plain and not even wrapped. Some of them may have written on the shoebox and decorated it like that. But when you do try to cram them all in a box, they do get kind of torn if they have paper on the outside. Next.
Well, wait, I was also going to say that on some of the plastic ones, people had jammed them so in the box before they got to the distribution center that they were cracked or
Yeah.
broken. And you would
I've got
add
that in
that
here.
later.
Yeah, I've got that later. The ones that people want to track, the label has a barcode on, and you have a scanner. So this box had a label that had a barcode on, and there's the scanner. You would scan the box, and then the next slide, and then you would go to the box that was going in. This would have been a girl, 10 to 14. So you scan the box, the shoebox, and then you scan the carton, and you make sure it goes in that carton. And so that's how it's tracked. And even, there's somebody sitting in a room somewhere who even monitors what you're scanning, because I kept telling the lady my scanner was off, and it was telling me to do the carton first and then the box, and so I was afraid it was putting then the box with the wrong carton, and she kept telling me no. And finally this man came out and said, "Your scanner's wrong." And I thought, thank you. And I told him, I said, so he knew what I was scanning. But that helps to, if you do want to know where your box is going, and that's how that takes place. Okay, next. Then that's an almost perfect box. Just one more to be put in. Next. Then the boxes, and hopefully you have some strong young man around, they take the box and put it on another conveyor belt and tape it up and then shove it to the end. Next, where they're loaded up on a truck to head out. That's the process of box from finish to end there. And then here's some other things they had. Next. Okay, that was Dana. That was our coach that we really liked, and I think she kind of liked us too. But most of them, like you say, are real high energy, and she'd been there 4 weeks or 5, and she was, I think, getting kind of tired and ready for it to be over. Next. JT was another coach we had. They work 2 shifts a day. I think she comes in at 9 and leaves at 3, and he comes in at 3 and leaves at 6. And so we were there the whole day that day. Next. That's just an aerial view of it. Let somebody use my camera to get that. Next. There we are in the view. I know you can't tell. And then next, if you loan your camera to somebody to take a picture, this is what you may get. Okay, next. That is Akil, and that was Akil Holland. He was the chaplain. Do you want to say anything else?
He was just the one who, when we stopped to pray for the boxes, he was the one that led us to pray. And I can't overemphasize just what a phenomenal experience that was, to be able to pray for the box, to pray for the child who would be getting it, to pray that somehow it would touch them and would lead them to salvation in Christ. And y'all had a big part of that for packing the boxes. You don't realize, the packing boxes, you think, oh, this is a fun thing, or, we'll just do it. But you don't realize the impact that you're going to have on a child. You won't know this side of heaven whether that box that you pack, those things you put in that box, will have that effect where they will come to know the Lord as their Savior. That somebody somewhere in another country loved them enough to send them a toothbrush, to send them soap, to send them a washcloth. They were telling us in one of the stories that he told that families share a toothbrush. Yeah. And that children will get their boxes and overlook the toys and the candy that are in there and get so excited because they got a washcloth and soap. So that's the impact that you guys have when you purchase something to put in your shoe boxes.
Also, the school supplies. A lot of places, they can't go to school if they don't have the supplies. We learned a lot about that, and I think that's important that we, put the paper and the pencils and things in the boxes, because it means a lot to those children to be able to go to school.
Okay. One thing, when we got there the first day and the first time they stopped and had the prayer time, Akil told a story, and it got my attention after he said something, and I started recording it. But he was talking about boxes that went to Honduras and went to the Lenca Indians. And he talked about a box, Gene, that there was a little girl there, and her mother was with her, and said the little girl had nothing to wear, and the mother had been praying for it, and said when the little girl got her box, it had 3 dresses, it had underwear, it had socks, it had sandals, it had school supplies and soap. And I said the people there were marveling at what was in her box. But it was that box went to the little girl there that needed it the most, and all the clothes that had been put in that box for that little girl. You know, and it was just story after story of how God uses these boxes to touch people, and that when you're packing the box, you have no idea how what you put in it is going to be used. And talking about the integrity of the box, they talked about the red dress that when it went through the processing center, somebody said, oh, this red dress, why don't we put it in a girl's box? And they said, no, it's meant to be in that box, and it was for a reason. It was for a girl. So we just never know, you know, what the items that put in these shoe boxes do, and it's not just for the children, it's for their whole family. This is Kathy praying. She's not so exhausted she'd stop, but she is praying. I kind of snuck a picture during that time. But okay, next. This is
a prayer wall, and there are snapshots of children receiving boxes. There's snapshots of boxes being delivered to the children, and I didn't conceive in my mind how the children actually got the boxes. Some of these countries in Africa or in inner Africa, they have to go over, you know, mountains and lakes and rivers, and they've got pictures of boxes piled in rickety-looking carts being carried, you know, over roads and canoes. People are paddling canoes with Operation Christmas Child boxes stacked in the canoes, you know, and these are volunteers and people who really want to get these boxes to these children. So it's just amazing, and we were able to go and pick a picture and write a prayer on the back of the picture and then flip it over and pin it back on the wall. And I think on the next slide, yeah, there's the prayer request box. We could also put prayer request in the box and know that they were going to be prayed for. So it's not just about packing and repacking boxes. It's about praying for people, for the teachers who teach these children, for the preachers who preach to them, for everybody that has contact with these children that get these boxes.
okay. Next. This is the filler item station. They had tables where if you can't stand, you could work here, and this is where people were getting things ready as fillers. Like somebody had given a bunch of T-shirts, so they were rolling them up and rubber banding them and working on things like that. The next. This was the Shoebox Hospital. As we said, a lot of them were broken. Some of the cardboard had ripped off the ends or something, and so they would take the shoebox to the hospital and put it in another box or repair the one that they had. Okay, next. The break room, Chick-fil-A came in. You could buy lunch there from them or carry in your own lunch. Next. This was a schoolroom. You want to talk about that? Somebody?
This was a schoolroom modeled after one in Ghana. Was that Ghana? And this is where they have a 12-week program the children can go through and learn about Jesus Christ. And I just thought that was fantastic that they get to do this. And we were real impressed with that. And it's what, it is 12 weeks.
12 weeks.
12-week program and teaching them about Jesus Christ. So our shoe boxes not only give practical items, it also gives them spiritual education.
Okay, next. Then they have a volunteer station if you want to volunteer. We have a couple of packets of here up on the Lord's Supper table, along with some prayer guides and then a book that has stories about the shoe boxes. But they have things all year long that you can be a volunteer for and do things in the community, going and talking to churches and places and just different things that you can volunteer year-round for, okay? Then there's a movie coming up March the 30th. It's the First Samaritan's Purse movie coming out. I'm not real familiar with what it's about. I haven't read up on or anything, but they were advertising that there, so we'll have to keep that in mind on March the 30th. It's a one-day only movie. okay? Then they had a store there, you could buy sub items, next. Then when you left, you went through the thank you room and you could pick up a t-shirt and an ornament, okay? And then I had the privilege of meeting Jim Harrelson. This guy was walking around and just real quiet and kind of walking up and looking, not saying anything. And one of the ladies that worked for Samaritan's Purse came by and said, "That was a big man. He's a big deal. He's second in line to Franklin Graham." And I thought, oh, okay. So I had to go out to my truck to get something. When I came back, he was standing in the hallway texting, and I asked him, I said, "Excuse me, sir." I didn't even know his name then. I said, "Can I get a picture of you?" And he said, "Well, here, let's get somebody to take it." But he is the vice president of Samaritan's Purse, and so he was asking questions about where we were from and what we did. I think we were the only people that maybe had ever been there from Louisiana, because we were the only ones this time. They're from about 11 states, and every time they'd call your state and hundreds of people would yell and they'd call Louisiana, we were the only 3 that did.
But we were really loud.
They heard us, though. They heard us. But, I thought it was nice to be able to get to meet him. I was hoping to see Franklin, but I know that's impossible for him to be there. But I know Jim Harrelson does a lot, too. Okay, next. That goal, you can't see it. It says 812,000 that they had processed by the time we left the Atlanta Processing Center. Their goal is 1.6 million just for the Atlanta Processing Center alone, and that just blows my mind of shoeboxes that come through. And I mean, when we talk about working, standing there taping, it was just as fast as you could go. I would put a box on, tape it, hand it off, pick up a box, put it on, tape it, hand it off, and there was no break in between. It was just constant. And then as soon as they got a box filled up, taken off, and that's if your station was working like it should, and if you weren't, you were feeling really bad and non-productive if you weren't going that fast, because they would come on and say, "We're not doing as fast as we should be," or "Man, y'all are really working fast this morning," because they would count the boxes as they left, okay? This was the last stop on the way out at the exit door, another display, okay? And then the 2 ladies walk in for the last time to the car through the beautiful leaf-filled parking lot.
We were kind of sniffling because we really didn't want to leave. I mean, it just was such a wonderful experience. I was crying because I didn't want to leave.
That we stayed 2 hours longer.
We did, and they also would encourage you just pack one more box, just
Yeah.
one more box.
So if
And
you think
keep
you have to
packing one
leave-
more box, and you stayed 2 extra hours
Yeah.
doing that.
Okay, next. Okay, we'll just, from here, let's just go quickly through this. The boxes keep going, go through the countries, and they say even before the boxes get there, they've talked to pastors who are prepared and ready. Next. The boxes, they have the events there, and the children come to them. Next. And then they distribute them. We were with a young girl was packing with us who happened to be on another medical mission trip in a country and happened to be there when they received boxes. And so she got to help hand them out, and she said, it was a wonderful thing. And they give them the gospel story booklet that goes with it, and it not only involves the kids, it involves their parents. Next. And their ideal is discipleship and multiplication as they teach the children. And they said they do graduation ceremonies after this 12-week program, and they wear caps and gowns, and the kids, have never graduated from anything. And it's so exciting, and their parents are there, and so they get to reach the parents as well. Next. And, they go through this 12-week study, The Greatest Journey. And, it reaches families. It helps to grow churches and communities. And they've been in some areas where they've reached the whole village for Christ just through the shoeboxes and the program through that. Next. And thank y'all for helping us to go and allowing us to, and thank our church for packing. It's just an unbelievable thing. It's so well organized. Just be assured what you put in your box stays in your box. And, it's very well handled and very well cared for and very well prayed for. Y'all have anything else?
I just like to say we met some of the most phenomenal people. Everybody there was just great. We met them from all over. I mean, Wisconsin and, Florida, wherever.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. And some had said I talked to several that it was their 7th or 8th year. And there were 2 different mother and daughters that I talked to that had been coming down. One was from Tennessee, and they come every year for about 7 years, she and her daughter, and pack boxes. And I don't know, it was just, and then all of our leaders were so enthusiastic. I mean, you didn't mind working fast because they just kept the energy level going. It was a phenomenal experience.
There were church groups, and there were also some Christian schools had brought some of their classes, and they were working with us on the tables. And some of the guys are, what is all this? I'm going to take out this and put this, and we had to remind them about the integrity of the boxes. But I mean, it was such a wonderful thing to see people working together, families, church groups, just everybody coming together to make sure that these boxes were prayed over and handled, and kids could get their boxes. So thank y'all for helping us to go and allowing us the privilege of being Lakeshore Baptist Church, hands and feet for Jesus Christ.
I just want to say everybody loved our yellow shirts.
Yeah, we wore the Faith Run shirts, wore them one day. So we look alike. Last thing, and it's not very long, we have a slideshow that we want to do, and just with some pictures, not only of our trip, but of things that have happened here at the church. So. Do I need to come back?
Well, we wanted to give y'all an opportunity to here it is.
all those boxes in his car, and we've taken them over to Fair Park, and I don't know what I've done without him. I just want to say thank you, Scotty.
For the boxes, they're still on the way. And they've been prayed for. And imagine 8 different centers doing that same kind of thing and going out all over the world. We're going to have refreshments over in the fellowship hall. If you'd like to ask additional questions, we'll let you do it over there. How about that? And so come over for some hot spiced tea, hot coffee, whatever, hot chocolate, and iced tea too. So if you like that. But let's just bow together in prayer. You've been a part of this. And we've shared in it a number of years. And I pray that we're learning even more about the boxes and following the boxes as they go. It's quite a situation. I mean, well organized, as you've heard already, but well prayed over. Seeking God's leadership in the whole thing. And we're just one part of that process. You never know what will come from it. What are we told? 1 out of every 10 boxes, well, there will be a salvation experience from 1 out of every 10 boxes. And lives are touched. And we pray that even though maybe one right now, maybe there will be others later as a result of someone caring and sharing. And you care here, and you share here. We care through Samaritan's Purse and the shoeboxes. So many ways that we can reach out to a world in need. Our dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful tonight for who you are and the many different ways that we can lift you up before a world in need. Because you said if you'd be lifted up, you'd draw all people, all men to you. And I pray that we will be busy about lifting you up before those with whom we come in contact. Because every day you give us opportunities. And special opportunities such as the Christmas shoeboxes is a special blessing that we can have, but also we pray it will be a blessing to those who will receive these boxes. And that they will come to know you because they realize someone cares, someone that they don't even know and have never met. But with many of them, they're going to meet others through the notes that were put in the boxes, through the contacts that will be made as a result of following these boxes on to their final destination. Father, thank you that you're over it all. You are a great and mighty God to whom we owe everything. May we give our best to you wherever you give us that opportunity to share. For we pray it in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you for coming. Head on over toward the fellowship hall. And is there somebody over there already? All right, Tracy's already gone, so she'll be waiting for you. Thank you for being here.